Okay, so we're gonna be doing something a bit different today. We're gonna take a look at how we can set up our suspension so that we feel confident on it. Now, I'm gonna show you my process of setting up my suspension. Hopefully that will help you do the same with yours. It's by no means scientific, but it's what I follow and what helps me feel confident on my own bike. Now, before we get into that, there are several prerequisites that you need to have. The first one is you need to know what all the dials on your shock actually do. The second is you need to have some tools. In most cases, it's just a shock pump. With some shocks, you might need to have an Allen key with you as well. With the one that we're actually gonna set up, we don't need that. We only need the shock pump. So that's it. With that, let's check out the shock that we're actually gonna be setting up, and we'll start from there. Okay, so the shock that we have here is a Fox Float X. So this is basically the simpler version of the X2, which is probably one of the most advanced shocks out there. But it does the job well. Now, it only has 3 controls. The rebound, low speed compression, which is the blue knob there, and the pedal assist switch, which is on the other side, which is just on and off, right? Now, first thing you need to know is when you set up your suspension, you need to have everything on open, like everything. Rebound should be wide open, low speed compression should be wide open, and that pedaling switch should be open as well. This is the first step, right? And this is what we call setting up the sag. Now, I set up my sag beforehand. Basically, for each and every one of you, it will be a different pressure in the shock. Now, for me, because I'm quite heavy, for this particular shock, it's around 330 PSI, which is a lot. And now, the important step is once you know that, pretty much every manufacturer out there has a guideline that you can follow to set up the shock for the initial setup, right? And this is a starting point, but it's the closest you can get it without any actual real world riding, so that it's as close to perfect as possible right from the get-go. Now, with this one, basically what Fox suggests is that for that pressure, I need to close my rebound all the way. So I need to basically spin that knob all the way to the closed position, which is really hard to do with one hand. Come on. All right. It won't go anymore, which means it's absolutely closed. Perfect. So this is what they suggest: the rebound and the pressure. The low speed compression is something that we'll set up as a second step, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. Before we get to setting the low speed compression, we need to find out where we're gonna test that, right? So the ideal scenario is you need to find a piece of trail, a short section that you can ride over and over again, that's really close to what you normally would ride, right? That's the idea. You need to have something that's your control. Once you have that, you can use that as a testing ground over and over and over again with changing the settings to show you whether the change that you just made is incremental, meaning it's better for you, or it's decremental, meaning it takes away from the experience and you feel worse on the bike than you did before. So this is what I just did. Like, I found this particular piece of trail. It's usually on the way up when I'm here, but it pretty much resembles everything that I usually would ride. So it's ideal. So this is what I'm gonna use to show you how you can set up your low speed compression or pretty much any other setting. Okay, so what we need to do is basically run that piece of trail several times with minuscule adjustments to our shock and see which one will feel better and which one won't. And again, right now I'm basically running this shock in the manufacturer suggested starting setting, meaning the PSI set, so my sag is around 30%. So let's see, low speed compression is wide open, rebound is all the way down closed, and the PSI is set up, and the pedal assist is turned off, obviously. So let's see how that feels. Wow, I'm not gonna lie, this actually feels quite amazing. Okay, so we just did the first test for our suspension setup, and I gotta say, straight from the manufacturer's suggestion, this is perfect. Now, this is not ideal, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna increase our low speed compression by 2 clicks, see how that feels. If it feels better, we'll keep it. If it feels worse, we'll dial it back and see whether wide open is our most effective setting. Okay, we're going up again. This is the key part. Like, you need to find a consistent piece of trail that closely resembles what you normally would ride. So we come here. The next thing we need to do is see how our compression is, and it's wide open, so we need to close that. I'll close it with 2 positions, so we go then from all the way close to 8. So let's see if that's better or worse. Okay, this actually, I think it felt a smidge better. I had a bit more control. Like, it wasn't as soft as the first one, it wasn't as plush, but I had a lot more control, and the bike kind of felt more composed. So for now, 8 clicks is better than 10. So we're gonna keep that. We're gonna test with 2 more added to the low speed compression. Let's see how that feels. All right, let's go. Okay, definitely harsher, but still quite composed. So I'm gonna say that this is probably the ideal setting for me. It feels nice. I might try to increase that a bit. 2 more clicks, see how that feels like. I assume it's gonna be harsher and worse, but we'll see. So again, we're gonna add 2 more clicks. So we're gonna go to 4 from completely closed. Let's see how that feels like. Ooh, okay, this is definitely worse. Yep. Okay. So 4 is not great. The difference from the last run was a much more noticeable pedal kickback. I don't even know how that's related to the low speed compression. Much more noticeable, it's much more firmer, and I feel like I don't have as much control over the trail anymore. So we're gonna dial it back with 1 click, see if that's better or worse than the 6 clicks, and that will tell us basically our final setting for the low speed compression. Okay, I think this is it. Yep. Perfect. So basically, we just found out that the low speed compression setting that I like is exactly in the middle. Like I have 10 clicks of low speed rebound, so 5 feels the best. Now, one thing that's very important to mention is that this is not a set and forget it type of a setting. This is something that you play with depending on what kind of trail you're running. But if it's something more chunkier, you might need to increase that. If you're doing a lot of jumps, you'll definitely increase that. If you're running a lot of climbing, then you're absolutely gonna increase that, so you can decrease the pedal bob. Okay, so we just found out our perfect setting for low speed compression, and it's basically the trial and error approach, right? You set something, you see if it feels right. You increase that or decrease that, see if it feels right, better or worse. And the important thing is, this is applicable to all the settings. Like if you, for example, feel that something isn't right with your high-speed compression, you can do the exact same thing. The idea is you isolate all of the settings one by one. So you do several runs for the low-speed one, you do several runs for the high-speed compression, you do the same thing for the rebound, and so on and so on. Now, is there an order in which you should do those? I honestly don't know. The way I like to do it is I like to set my sag and rebound first. So basically sag first, rebound after, and then I go through the compressions, because the compressions are the most depending on the situation that you'll be riding. The rebound and the sag is pretty much, well, it's not set and forget, but it's close to that. And after you're done with those, you basically can fine-tune the low speed and high speed compressions on the go, preferably on a piece of trail that resembles what you would usually ride. One additional thing, you can apply the exact same approach for your fork, because it basically has the exact same settings. Cool. So that was it for today. A really short one. I just wanted to show you how I set up my suspension, what's my process. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer that. If you have a different approach that you think is much more effective than that, then please leave me a comment below. I'll be happy to learn about that. If you liked this tutorial, thumbs up. If you didn't, this button is still there. And if you want to see more of me, then you can subscribe. See you next time. Peace. Jesus, my hair is a mess. It's super fucking windy. But it's a good test for a new mic. Bop, 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 bop. How was the sound? Did you like it? Let's see. Ha ha!